Hello and welcome to my channel, You Are The One, where we talk all things law of assumption to help make your manifesting journey easier and more fun. And today we are talking about the difference between moving towards something as opposed to moving away from something. The intention behind each of those states of consciousness will impact the experience you have depending on which one you choose. So that's what we're talking about today. Stick around. My name is Hedley Derenzie. I'm a qualified life coach and author specializing in the law of assumption as originally taught by the great American mystic Neville Goddard. It is the stories that we tell that create our reality. So if you want to change any part of your reality, then you have to change the story first. And if you want to create the most amazing reality, then it helps to know how to tell the most amazing stories and hold them long enough for your reality to catch up and reflect it back. If you would like help with this, I am available for Law of Assumption coaching, and I also have a free 21-day Set Yourself Up with the Ultimate Self-Concept. What else? I am also on Instagram, sort of. You'll find all of those details in the box below this video or at my website, youaretheone.com.au. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, today we are talking about the difference between moving towards something as opposed to moving away from something. And these two states of consciousness will have a big impact on what it is that you experience. Where the inspiration for this video came from was I was watching a video on YouTube about a couple who sold up their home in the US and they moved to Portugal to have a whole other life experience, and nothing was working out for them in Portugal. And I was watching this video with a lot of curiosity because I was like, why is it not working out for them in Portugal? If they've decided to sell up their home in the US and they're moving to Portugal and it's not working out, there's a story, there's an assumption that's running that's in opposition to what it is that they're wanting to experience. And so I kept watching this video, kind of looking for clues as to what was going on. And about 3/4 of the way into the video, that clue emerged where they were talking about how the reason they left the US was because they felt like they didn't fit in. The words they used was they felt like a fish out of water. And that was driving their move, their decision to move to Portugal. Now, what happened in Portugal is wherever they went, they had this feeling of like they weren't fitting in, they didn't belong anywhere, and nothing was working. And so it's a really great example of how these two states of consciousness, whether you're moving away from something or moving towards something, will influence your experience. And this resonated with me so much because up until my latest move to here in northern New South Wales, so I'm born in Sydney, and all of my life, as far as I can remember, even before I'd travelled overseas, I never felt like I belonged in Sydney. Sydney was my birthplace. It was where I grew up. My friends and family lived, and I have a lot of friends in Sydney, and I love Sydney for that reason. But I never felt like Sydney was my place. I never felt home. I never felt settled. And I was constantly running around the world looking for somewhere to call home. And I also lived in a number of different other countries, thinking that that would be home. Like I lived in LA for a couple of years. I lived in Bali. And I was always traveling. I spent a lot of time in Italy and I was looking to move there as well. And like I was just always searching for that other place. But my search was always founded on the wanting to get out of Sydney. There was always a push to get away from Sydney. I wanted to get out of Sydney, get away from Sydney, move somewhere else. But it was always coming from a place of getting away from Sydney. Now, what happened in each of those experiences, there was this sense of it never quite working out, for whatever reason. And of course that is the reason, because I was coming at it from that place of getting away from something rather than moving towards something. Now, I became aware of this when I was living in Bali. I wasn't yet aware of law of assumption, but I became aware of this pattern that I was repeating, which was this trying to get away from Sydney, going to this other place, and it just not quite working out. And when I was in Bali, Bali was great, but I got really sick. It just didn't work out. And I made the pact that the next place I moved to, I would not be moving away from Sydney. I would be moving towards the place that I was going to. And it was a very conscious decision that when I made the decision to move up here, I wasn't moving away from Sydney. I was moving up here because of this place. So I was moving to this place because of this place, because of all the things that this place has to offer, and it's peaceful and it's beautiful and it's great weather and it's great people and it's creative, and there was just so many things to look forward to in this place. And that was a big change in the energy that I was moving into. And of course, this has felt like home, and this is the place where I feel like I belong. For the first time in my life, this place feels like home. This place feels like the place I want to be. It was a very different energy that I moved to this place in. So I just wanted to make this video as a reminder that if you are wanting to manifest something, ensure that you are manifesting it from a place of moving towards it rather than away from something. The moving away and the moving forward are two states of consciousness, and depending on which one you will place as the priority will govern your experience. So if you move away from something and that's priority, you're still moving towards something, but that's actually secondary to the primary intention, an intention of moving towards something. That's a very different state of consciousness to the moving away from something. So a good example of it is if you're in a relationship and you're wanting to move away from this relationship and therefore towards this relationship, but the priority is to move away from this relationship. If you move away from this relationship and into this new relationship, then you are going to bring that energy of what you're pushing away and resisting into the new relationship. If you're moving towards this relationship because of everything that this relationship has to offer, you're going to have a very different experience. Another example is a job. If you're hating your job and you're looking for another job because you want to move away from the job that you're in, if you come into this new job from the desire to move away from your current job rather than the moving towards this new job, you are going to have very different experiences. So you want to be very clear as to where your focus is. Are you focused on getting away from something, or are you focused on moving towards something? If you want to get away from something, that's great, but make sure your focus is on the moving towards that other thing. And really paint the picture of why this other thing is so amazing. This other thing is this and this and this and this, and you want to move towards this. As opposed to this thing is this and this and this and this, and you've got to get away from this. They are two very different states, and they will govern the experience that you have. And it's just a simple shift of awareness. You're just flicking a switch. The moving away is a very different state of consciousness to the moving towards state of consciousness. They are very different qualities. And the moving away from something, it's like that pushing away, that resisting. That's a low quality state of consciousness that you are in. And that will carry over into whatever it is that you move towards. But if you are moving towards something and the moving away is just a default of that action of moving towards, then again, you'll have a very different experience. You'll have a much better experience. And I have found that with this move, by making a conscious decision to move towards a new place rather than moving away from Sydney, this has completely shifted my experience of this move, and it has felt different. It's much more peaceful. It's calmer. There's no resistance. As opposed to when I was in all these other different countries, there was this sense of resistance that things weren't quite working out. That was because I was trying to get away from Sydney. That was my priority, to get out of Sydney. It was all about Sydney, 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 as opposed to where I was going. Play around with it. If it resonates, if you're going through something like that at the moment, then just shift your awareness towards that, moving towards what it is that you want, and make the moving away from that thing secondary. And it's just, as I said, it's all awareness. So you take your awareness off what you're moving away from and you place your awareness on what you're moving towards. And you make the story about what you're gaining. You know, what is this beautiful thing representing to you? What is it giving you? What is it offering? And make that the story and get excited about that. That's a much better feeling than this kind of, oh, got to get away from that. It's a very different experience. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. You probably had this experience yourself, or you might be facing that at the moment. Either way, I hope this video helps. Please remember, you are the amazing creators of your reality. You are the superstar of your show. You are the producer, the writer, the director, and the actor in your movie. What you assume to be true will be so. So assume the best for you and assume the best for everyone in your movie too. You will have an amazing life. And this is my wish, my vision, and my prayer for you. Thank you so much for listening. If you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and share. And if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, I would love to have you. I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Bye.